today we're going to be making some beautiful ivy leaves. Let's get started. Are you ready? Okay guys, here we are. We've got our beautiful painted ivy leaf. And look, one of them broke. That is fine. Don't stress about it too much. It's not gonna be a crazy disaster. We can just take that one off, not a problem. Then there's just a leaf that got nibbled. If you want, you can always just replace this one. I do find it easier to quickly just assemble everything rather than taking each leaf and painting every single leaf separately. It just makes much more sense, even though there is the chance of breaking one of them off, that we just assemble it all, paint it, scrape it, and then reassess. It just makes so much more sense and it makes it a lot quicker. Okay, so here's our beautiful ivy leaf. And see again, here's one missing. That's fine. Don't stress too much. It's nature. Right, what we need for this is confectioner's glaze. With that, we obviously need confectioner's cleaner. I'm going to show you one that I'm going to paint on the white base that has not been painted with the green. So I'm going to paint that gold. So we need a little bit of a nice gold. It doesn't necessarily need to be the edible kind. Nobody's going to hopefully chow down on this thing. You obviously need to always put a disclaimer into your contract that these are not meant for consumption. You know, there's wires in there. I mean, nobody wants to chomp down on a wire. So this is obviously non-toxic gold, but if you prefer, you can always use the edible gold. If your branches are possibly going to touch the cake itself, then maybe that's a good idea. Then we need some brushes, we need a little bit of kitchen towel, we need bubble wrap, and last but not least, we need a scribe tool. Okay, now I'm going to grab myself a good amount of bubble wrap and I'm going to bunch up a couple of layers so that it's nice and thick. And now I'm going to be scraping on top of that because we want a nice soft support that we can scrape our petals on, that they don't break. There's going to be one or two that might break. That is okay. You can decide whether you want to replace them or whether you are happy with keeping them as they are. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm going to create a center line down the center and just scrape that in. And now from here, it's almost like a star shape. I'm going to attaching here in the center and flaring out to the little pointy tips. And then we can just add some lines on top of the center vein that we just made. And look how lovely that is. Create that center line first, down the middle, then from there, flaring out to the edges. And add a couple of side lines. And again, center line, and add a couple of cross lines. Flaring out from the center lines we just created. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just get my camera a little bit closer so you can see a little bit of a close-up of this. So again, supporting the leaf nicely. You can scrape on the actual bubble wrap if you prefer, but oftentimes I find I've got good feeling with my fingers, but I've still got something soft under my hands. And those lines that connect to the center, and then a couple of cross lines. I'm going to show you on the bigger leaves how I create my cross lines. It's very difficult to see on the small ones, but the principle you're going to be able to see on these ones already. So again, center line, starting from that V shape at the bottom, and then here from the V shape out into the corners. And then now from these lines, I'm taking just this line. I'm going to add lines that run out towards the edges. And I don't want them to sit directly opposite each other. So you're making this line, now go a little bit higher up, create the next, a little bit higher up, create the next. There we go. The same with these guys. Just going to keep going with this. See, you know, that tiny little tip there broke off. That's okay. We can just go over this white part with a little bit of green right at the end, just to fix that. Ooh, fix that. Ooh, fix that. Lost my tool there. You can take a soft brush and brush off the excess if you'd like. Oh, this one broke off. See, it does happen. So I'm just taking out the wire, and then I'm going to bend these other leaves like so, and that's okay. We can always still add some more. So it's nice to have some extras on the side that you can just fill in the gaps if you want to. And then the bigger the leaves get, the more of the lines you can add, because obviously there's more space on the leaves. Okay, so now I'm making my little cross lines going to the edges. And now we can even to the ones that flared out from here, like a tree. We can add even more little guys. There you go. And last but not least, we want a nice soft support that they don't break. But oftentimes I find I've got good feeling with my fingers. I'm going to just show you on a big one here, on this big guy, what it looks like with the bigger veins. So, let's give it a bit of a scrape. So I've got my cross lines. And then now to these, we can even add more little guys, like a tree or a branch. The ones that we've just now branched out from the main ones. We can add even smaller little lines to that. I'm just going to finish this one off for you guys. Now we're going to just have a look at then covering it in confectioner's glaze, and I'm going to show you how to make a gold one. Okay guys, now we've got our beautifully scraped, assembled leaf. I'm not doing it in the back. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
And we've got one that is just with the white, and we're going to paint this one gold. So let's get started. I have got here my confectioner's glaze. Be very careful to not get this anywhere that you don't want it. It's probably never ever going to come off again. So yeah, you can also use a glaze spray if you prefer, but here's a confectioner's cleaner. If you do make a mess, you must quickly get into here, a brush, and let's get started. So I'm going to just dip my brush in the confectioner's glaze and just give it a nice little going over. Very quick. Be careful that you don't put too much, otherwise the color will start running. You can rather go over it a couple of times if you want to get it super shiny, because these ivy leaves are actually quite shiny in real life. So you do want to get a good amount of that shine on there to make them look realistic, and this just helps the color pop a little bit more as well. And we're going to do the same on the back. And I'm probably going to give this 1 or 2 layers, maybe 2 or 3, depending on how it dries. So just give it 5 to 10 minutes to dry, and then you can reassess if you need more glaze. See how nice and shiny it is? But once it's drying, it's going to get a little bit less shiny. So just give it 2 or 3 layers until you're happy with the amount of shine that you've got. Alrighty, now let's move on to the gold. I'm going to get myself a container, add some of my powdered gold. I love this particular gold. It's called Inca Gold and it's from Crystal Candy, made right here in South Africa, I think. I don't know, maybe they'd get it from somewhere else, but I get it here. So I put a little bit of the gold into my container. Try not to make a mess, which I always do. And now we're going to add a little bit of the confectioner's glaze and make ourselves a nice paste. Not really a paste, you want it to be liquid, but you don't want it to be too thin. Then it's going to take forever to coat and you're going to have to go over 3-4 times to coat your foliage. So a little bit more. Oh, look how nice. That's a good amount of liquid in here. You're gonna have to keep stirring it just so you can just have the particles floating around in the liquid. And now we're gonna just give it a paint. And you know, it's better if you do this with white tape, but oftentimes what happens is I've got a whole bunch of these ready-made, and then as orders arrive, all I need to do is just either quickly paint them and scrape into them, or just do this. For me, that just makes sense to just keep it with the green and then just paint over it. And now we're gonna just keep painting front and back. And I'm gonna shut up and give you some nice little tunes to listen to. These are probably gonna be golden fingers for a long time.
I love gold.
Just saying. Quick intersection here. And I'm gonna shut up and give you some nice little tunes to listen to. I am using a flat angle brush. It's called a angle blender, I think. But I like those ones, or a filbert is good. So you don't want those round, fluffy, soft brushes. You want something that's flat, and either with a rounded tip or these cut off. You get square ones, or you get ones that have got a bit of a rounded edge. Those all work well, but you want a flat brush, so you can use the whole side of the brush to get good coverage quickly. And don't forget your stem. And don't forget the back. And why I like painting with the confectioner's glaze is firstly, when you put it on your cake, it's not going to come off on the cake. And secondly, because it just gives it such a lovely sheen. And you can't really achieve that with just the plain quick dye essence. So I'd really recommend that you use the confectioner's glaze. If you don't have it, obviously go for what you have. But my preference is painting in gold with the confectioner's glaze, or silver, or anything really. You can make them white, pearl, whatever you'd like. And here we go. Got our beautiful golden ivy leaf.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
There's just one last step, and then it's time to put these on a beautiful cake, whichever cake you want. Obviously, I mean, if your customers ask for it. If they didn't ask for it, maybe don't.
Okay.
And if you want to wash your brush, you have to wash it in the confectioner's glaze. And I absolutely love doing that because look, it's so pretty. It's like magic in a jar. And then just a little bit of hot soapy water, sunlight liquid, those kind of things. Dishwashing liquid, hot soapy water will get rid of the rest of the bristles that are full of glitter. And you're gonna just have to deal with my golden hands now. You know where that came from, so that's fine. Now, last but not least, we want to bend our beautiful ivy leaves. So this one has only got one coat on. I would give this another coat if it was my choice. But for now, I'm just gonna start giving it interesting shape. So I just want to bend it in beautiful curves, and not like S shapes all the way. Just make it look interesting and so that it flows. Like so. And then now, this is still quite flat. What I like doing is actually giving it more shape by making it go backwards and forwards. So see now, it's actually more like a very undulating sort of branch, which is beautiful. Like if you put this on a cake, it's going to be so, so interesting. I like having them hang. I like having them grow up. I like having them intertwine with each other, like so. So you can create absolutely beautiful stuff like this. I want to just bend this guy. I think you're going to probably be able to see a little bit better with this guy. So the tip, I like to always just coil it interesting ways. That's perfect. And then give it interesting soft shapes. Like so. And again, now at the moment it is still quite flat. Now what I'm going to do is just bring some of it forward and backward and just fiddle with the leaves until I'm happy with my little ivy branch. There we go. Ivy branch done and dusted. Literally, well, we didn't really dust it, but you know what I'm saying. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed this class. I would absolutely love to see what you do with these and how they look on your cakes. Scroll through a couple of pictures of ivy cakes that I've done so you can get a sense of the kind of arrangements that I've created and how they work together. But just have a good look at how this creates movement on the cake and how it guides the viewer's eyes to certain parts of the cake that you'd want their eyes to rest on. I am so happy that you took this class. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're going to make lots and lots of ivy leaves. Let me leave you with a little tiny little inside joke we have in the bakery. We were packing away the ivy leaves, and for some reason I was listening to R. Kelly. And let me leave you with this. I believe I can fly. Whee. I believe I can touch the sky. Sorry, if you don't like those kind of pun humors, you're gonna probably think I'm an idiot. That's okay, I'm all right with that. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Enjoy, bye. We need the scribe tool, which I cannot find right at this moment. Man, where's my scribe tool? And last but not least, we need a scribe tool.